Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Group F. So we are from Group F. We want to present about our assignments about instruction. So the title is Implementation of Instruction Inclusive Classroom for Better Education. So let me introduce my members. So my name is Susilawati Ningrum Hairiyah, K22 19080. Okay, next.
My name is Larasati Anindya Putri, K22 19045.
My name is Muhammad Rizal Mulyadika. My name is K22 19055.
Okay, my name is Penta Kusuma Dewi, K22 19065.
And my name is Setyani Katrawati Prabowo. My student number is K22190079.
Okay, so
oh
yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Nama
Okay.
Sania Nabila Hedianti, K22 19083.
Okay, so yeah, this is the table of contents. So number 1 is problems, number 2 is solution, number 3 is relation with ELT, and number 4 is example. So let's see the introduction. So by definition, inclusion means that students with disabilities are receiving their instruction in the general education classroom with any special accommodation being made available to them on site. The vision inclusion emerged out of a belief that all students should be educated in their neighborhood schools in the general classroom with individuals in their own age. By O'Neill, 1994 1995. Inclusion has changed the way instruction is being delivered to students with and without disabilities. In reality, students with disabilities are not the only ones who disabled peers are often able to receive support from the additional resources, whether they be attention from another teacher, knowledge of a new strategy, or assistance from some type of equipment or technology. As special and general educators begin to work together to plan collaboratively for their students, and it becomes important to focus on both the unique individual and group needs of the students. Accommodating these needs is a challenge, but anticipating areas where students may encounter difficulty becomes easier when two professionals engage the preparation and delivery of instruction together. An accommodation is an adaptation of or change in the way instruction is presented or in the way an assessment tool is administered. Instruction and assessment can be adapted or changed to help students meet the established standards, goals, objectives, and outcomes. This implies that the standard is not reduced or minimalized in any way, but that students have taken an alternate route in meeting the standard. This is an important feature of an accommodation or instruction, one that needs to be consistently communicated to all who are involved, parents, teachers, and students.
Okay, number 1 is problems. We focus on students with physical disabilities. Next. Number 1 is blindness. Blind students unable to read handouts and examination questions in a standard print. Also, they cannot take their own notes.
Next is deafness. Students who are not able to hear as well as someone with normal hearing. They can hear what their teacher says. Therefore, they will find it difficult to participate in learning activities in the inclusive class.
And the next is physical appearance disabilities. Physical disabilities can affect some or all of the activities to a greater or less extent. Students with physical disabilities may have problems related to movement, posture, sitting, standing, grasping or manipulating objects, communication, eating, perception, and reflex movement. Students are unable to study or reading and writing easily on the table. Students with no hands will hardly write on the table because they have to use their feet as hands.
Number 2, solutions. Solutions for blinds. Number 1 is school provides braille or audiobooks to help blind students, then the teacher guides them to use those tools. The next, teacher gives them extra time in examination. And number 3, teacher make activities in classroom which suitable for every student in the classroom. The teacher can use differentiated instruction or DI that according to Braja, Alice, and Destina in 2021, differentiated instruction to blind students uh, should be applied in the classroom because it is one of the reactive approaches that facilitates students with diverse needs to be more welcome and served according to their level of readiness and interest. The example of differentiated instruction is the teacher differentiates the product of learning for blind students. Instead, ask him to work an assignment in a written form. He allowed him to work the assignment in form of the audio. The teacher asked the blind students to record his response and send it via WhatsApp.
And the next is for deafness. First is the position of deaf students is sitting at the front. In a study room, a teacher is obligated to place deaf student in front of the teacher who delivers the materials. This makes it easier for deaf students to read the lips of the teacher. The second is when teaching, deaf students should not be covered by anything. Lip reading is one of the deaf methods of to understand interlocutors who do not use sign language. In this case, a teacher should provide material without using a cover of mouth or positioning himself behind a deaf student. And number three is teachers must be able to speak sign language and provide room to repeat it. Teachers must be able to speak basic sign language to help the understanding of deaf students through sign language interpreters or not. And number four, teachers must prepare written information. Teacher should provide correct written materials to complete all notes, starting from discussion about tutorials and formal meeting session, namely announcement made regarding class time, activities, field work, industrial visit, and so on. And the last is visual media and text. Visual media and text are other alternatives to convey comprehensive information to deaf students. A teacher can start by providing opportunities for deaf students to copy materials from peers. Don't forget to prepare flexible teaching materials through electronic media, such as presentation screen or film spread content.
And the solution for students with disabilities, physical appearance disabilities, for example, first, teacher can be more flexible with the schedule. Students who have disability may arrive late or have to leave before the class is overdue to adapt transportation service. Second, to reduce the fatigue of students with physical disabilities, it may be helpful to limit the number of exams on a given days or week. Extra time should be planned for oral reports on occasion if the person has diction problems. Third, school must prepare some accommodation for students who have disabilities to study well based on their disabilities. Example, students who use their feet as hands can be given a special chair or desk so that they can easily write. And last, it is better if school can prepare some facilities for students with disabilities, such as special way or pads, movement support device, or wheelchairs, walking stands, etc.
The third is the relation with ELT. For the blindness itself, the teaching English as a foreign language is a challenging task, especially for students with visual impairment. Several challenges emerge, partly coming from students, partly from teachers, limited facilities for disability students. As a teacher, we need to provide methods, facilities so that the children with visual impairment, for example, reading class, the students with visual impairment can't read like the other normal students. So the teacher provides them tools called Braille and audio books. With these tools, the students with visual impairment can read and understand the materials.
For deaf students, according to the current research, students who are deaf often experience difficulty in language acquisition, speech development, sensory processing, and literacy development. As English teacher, we need to implement effective strategies for improving student language acquisition and education. In order to do that, both teacher and student need to learn sign language. It is important to provide information about sign language to hearing students too, so they can support and have communication with deaf students.
Physical appearance disabilities. There is no set recipe for teaching English as a foreign language to students with learning disabilities at the intermediate and advanced level. However, research indicates that these students do well with decoding but have difficulties with language comprehension and production because they lack effective cognitive and metacognitive strategies based on Shonta, Greenleaf, Zico, and Hurwitz 1999. In other words, these students often possess a good collection of vocabulary and grammatical structures, but they cannot comprehend oral or written language.
Number four is example. For blindness, the examples are the teacher introduced the book, the Braille book, to the students orally, and then the students read the books using the Braille system. Then don't read all in one sit, take some break. And then at this time, the teacher can ask some simple questions according to the book, and then the students continuing to read the book, and after reading, do a little pop quiz, not written but verbally. And at the end of the session, give the students like a little exam.
For deafness, first, give student front seat position. With giving deaf student front seat position, it will help them focus on what the teacher teach. Other than that, we have to make sure that the lighting in classroom is on, so it will help students to see the teacher clearly. Number two, before starting the class, make sure to gain student attention. For example, wave hand in their direction. The next, teacher must speak loudly and clearly with using simple sentences. It's better for teacher to avoid using complex words to help students understand it easily. The next, use visual to supplement auditory language. For example, it could be picture, sign, or gesture. Next, check student comprehensions by giving quiz to them. The last one, set up an individualist plan with parents to help develop student language skills.
And for physical appearance disabilities, first, school accommodate student facilities. Second, prepare special chair or desk. Third, give extra time to do something, especially writing. Fourth, give extra time for exams. Fifth, reduce the amount of writing section and change it into oral section. Six, the geographic condition of the school that must be adjusted. And the last is building accessibility.
Okay, so that's enough for our presentation. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.